Don't you hear your heart, poor mother calling? Don't you hear your heart, poor mother calling, calling you, poor boy, she calling you. When she call, I know her heart's in trouble. Don't you feel my leg? I won't sing it too much for you.
Okay.
Don't you feel my leg? Because if you feel my leg, you're going to feel my thigh. And if you feel my thigh, you're going to go up high. So don't you feel my leg? Those ladies were nasty. I love them. So even it's funny because one of the songs I'm going to be doing is my song I've written called Pearly Gates, and it's just as bawdy as that. Oh. And I didn't even know all of this about these ladies yet. I wrote this 9-10 years ago.
Right.
Welcome. Listen to this next Agile Vocalist podcast.
Chelle Jacques is the artistic director and founder of a New Orleans big band, Chelle and Friends. She's also created Chelle's Juke Joint a cappella ensemble. Chelle is the vice president of the Governor's Board of the Recording Academy, Northern California, Colorado chapter, known best for the Grammy Awards. Chelle is also a board member with the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. For over 20 years, Chelle performed educational programs for San Francisco Symphony's Adventures in Music. During that time, she was also Oakland School for the Arts' choral director for grades 6 to 12. Chelle has toured the United States and Europe, performing with many artists such as Manhattan Transfer, Wynton Marsalis, Linda Hopkins, Ladysmith Black Mambazo, Pete Seeger, Al Green, and the Persuasions. Chelle's credits include being a recipient of the 2021 Intermusic San Francisco grant for her 2022 production of Daughters of the Delta, an individual artist grantee from the city of Oakland, Best Folk Progressive Song winner for her song Home Africa, awarded by Contemporary A Cappella Recording Awards, CARA. She's also known for her work with Grammy-winning producers Camilo and Greg Landau, for her vocals and songwriting on the soundtrack for the movie La Mission, starring Benjamin Bratt.
You know, from the Black experience, what's your mission to bring with, lost history of women, musicians, but I want you to talk about sort of, especially from a personal level, what are you bringing to us? Because it's almost like we don't have history and historical knowledge anymore, and we don't have arts in schools. And so part of what we're doing here is making up for that and educating people who just don't know. They just don't know.
Well, about 8 years ago, I had applied for a grant from the city of Oakland, which I got. Okay. And the name of the show I was going to do at that time was Les Voyages Creole, the study of the Creole people and their contribution to the music of New Orleans. Okay. But then the recession slammed us. I didn't get paid for like almost 2 years, and I wasn't able to follow through. I did little things, and so I was talking to Andrew Wood at the San Francisco International Arts Festival. And we had been talking because he called me, we started really getting together about, it was COVID. How do we sing? How do we play? Yeah. How do we do this? Yeah. So I was researching masks and I was researching things for horn players. Yeah, special masks. Yeah. And so then Andrew had me really going to these different meetings with the city of San Francisco. We do Zoom and blah, blah, blah. And I would talk about, how important it is. We've got to get past this. Eventually we will. We have artists that really want to perform. Right. How are we going to do this? How are we going to make this happen? And the arts was like the last to even be invited to do anything, to get back into normalcy, whatever that is, you know what I mean?
Which I'll just add for everyone listening is tragic.
It was awful.
It was, my standpoint from that is that the artists are our most underrepresented essential workers. Mm-hmm. So I'm done. I'm off the soapbox.
So underrepresented. And when there's no art, just like I was saying about the recession.
Yeah.
Everybody lost their jobs, remember?
Right.
Not me.
Right.
I was turning work down. Why? Because the arts go on no matter what, and people wanted to hear music, and people wanted their children to learn.
Great point.
So I was still, I felt bad.
Yeah.
My daughters could not find jobs, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. Because I have about 3 other gigs on that. So that's what was going on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
So I felt bad about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Andrew asked me, well, what are you doing? What would you like to do? Because he was getting ready to get the festival going again. I said, it'd be really cool if I did a show, because this is my passion to learn about who I am, on the women from Louisiana and their contributions to the music of Louisiana, because I was looking up stuff, and I'd say Louis Armstrong and all of these people, the Wild Magnolias, the Wild Chapatulas, Alan Toussaint, all these people. Where are the women?
Yeah.
Where are the women?
Right.
And so he was like, yeah, that works. Yeah. And so that's how this all began. And our response is phenomenal that we're getting from, as you know, the newspapers.
Absolutely.
I was on CBS, the San Francisco Classical Magazine, and now you. The icing on the cake, baby. The icing on the cake.
Well, it just keeps going.
Laissez le bon temps rouler. That's French for let the good times roll, and in New Orleans, Louisiana, it's not just a saying, it's a way of life. Hi, my name is Dana Gowan. I love that Chelle is on this episode today talking about her New Orleans roots. I also grew up in New Orleans, and even though I don't live there now, you know what they say, you can take the girl out of New Orleans, but you can't take New Orleans out of the girl, and that is so true. I want to tell you about my new podcast called Improvly Speaking, where I focus on improv, public speaking, communication, performance, creativity, and everything else in between. I don't specifically focus on New Orleans per se, but the New Orleans connections seem to come up with my guests more often than I think, which I absolutely love. You don't have to be an improviser or public speaker to listen to this podcast. This is for everyone looking to face their fears, be more creative, try new things, and learn to let go of perfection when trying new things. It's so hard, I know, but we can get through it together. Say yes and check out the Improvly Speaking podcast. That's Improv, L-Y, Improvly Speaking on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Now, let's keep the good times rolling as we get back to the show.
This is the beginning of your journey because you can't get to all the women who are involved with the music. Do you want to paint us a picture of like where you want to go with this for the next year?
Well, this year I'm going to book more, obviously, and I have to get my booking agent.
Yeah.
Booking agents aren't easy to come by. Everybody don't want a band. But this is not a band, this is a project. It's a whole different thing.
Right.
And I think I stand a chance of getting an agent a lot better. But I want to, the next phase is 4 or 5 more women in my research and keep it going. But the main thing I want to do is a documentary. I want to go to Louisiana. I want to go to New Orleans. I want to go and just do all this research and do all of this stuff. And this is what I'm planning to do. And videotape it. And I'm going to go to LSU and places like that. But the main thing I want to do is I want to go to the clubs and talk to the musicians who know, who are in all of that. So that's my plan.
The thing that drew me, I think, was Storyville in New Orleans, a birthplace for famous jazz musicians. I don't know enough about jazz to really understand what that means, but I can appreciate it. Well,
Storyville started off as a place of prostitution.
Yes.
It was haughty, and but it was like, you know, we're in a country that there was racism and hatred and everything going on. And especially when the Americans took over the Louisiana Purchase. I mean, the French weren't angels, but they allowed the slaves to, the enslaved people, should I say, not the slaves, the enslaved people. To do their art. To sing, to dance, to do that. So Storyville became a spot. It's in the swamp. It was in the swamps. That it opened up this whole thing for people to be able to come and do their music. It's basically a lot of men, and then you had the ladies of the night that were there. And then it became, the white folk found out, we're going to go to Storyville because there's this music going on that we can't get in New Orleans proper.
So it was like forbidden fruit in a sexual way, but also in an artistic way, right? Because when you listen to live music, you get your chemicals going, and you right? So it's really interesting.
It was a forbidden fruit. Also, that the music was not the kind of music that you need to go be listening to because it's not good music, and just like rock and roll, just like hip hop.
When it first came, yeah.
The devil's music. The devil.
And of course, it couldn't resist that.
Couldn't resist it, no way. So that's how Storyville started.
So some of the pieces that have been written about Daughters of the Delta, there's one that I'm just curious about is Louisa Blue Barker.
Lulu
Barker with "Don't You Feel My Leg."
Don't you feel my leg? I won't sing it too much for you.
Okay.
Don't you feel my leg? Because if you feel my leg, you're gonna feel my thigh. And if you feel my thigh, you're gonna go up high. So don't you feel my leg? Those ladies were nasty. I love them. So even it's funny because one of the songs I'm going to be doing is my song I've written called Pearly Gates, and it's just as bawdy as that. And I didn't even know all of this about these ladies yet. I wrote this 9-10 years ago. And so, they were, so you're going to hear some of that.
I mean, it's the universal woman's experience. I think that's the thing that just kills me about that, is because it's like every woman, the minute, and I was a little puzzled by the title because I got to be honest. There's a Saturday Night Live skit I saw when I was a kid that I grew up on. I don't remember which comedian it was, but it was something about when you have the leg.
Oh yeah.
So when I saw that, it made me think of that Saturday Night Live skit, but. Yeah, of course.
Well, you know who made it famous?
The "Don't You Feel My Leg"? Oh,
Maria
Montero. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I'm doing it like Blue Lou.
Okay. Nice.
Keeping it real nasty and good. Yeah. And another woman I'm really happy to be doing is Lizzie Miles.
Tell me about
because Lizzie, oh my God, she's a Creole woman. From Louisiana, like myself.
Okay.
And she did a lot of writing. And she lived in New Orleans. But when she sang, because she's Creole, she sang a lot of stuff in the African Creole Kouri Vini language, which I'm studying. Kouri Vini is Louisiana Creole. So at the show, you'll hear me 3 songs. I'll be singing part English and partially and Kouri Vini.
Nice.
And that's, I really, when I read that, I was like, yeah, because I love singing. I'm doing a Carol Fran song, which same thing, English and Kouri Vini.
Nice.
So yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
All these great women.
Et compter contre mon tour, car c'est que j'ai pitié. Jacques est pris, c'est pas l'eau. Dans les mots de tous les trouver. Et c'est trouvé dans la mauvaise monnaie. Ah. Tous les jours, c'est pas la mer. Et où t'as au toit, bon. T'étais pas là que j'ai passé. Et que j'ai te le voir. T'étais pas là que j'ai passé. Et j'ai trouvé dans la mauvaise monnaie. Tous les jours c'est pas la mer. Translation: when you tell me lies, break my heart to the bed. All that shines is not gold. Good love is hard to hold. And I found out in the worst way, every day is not the same. So where were you last night, boy? 'Cause you weren't there when I passed by. Where were you last night? 'Cause you weren't there when I passed by. And I found out in the worst way, every day is not the same. Come on, man, take it away. Where were you last night, boy? 'Cause you weren't there when I passed by. Don't you lie to me. Where were you last night? 'Cause you weren't there when I passed by. And I found out in the worst way, every day is not the same. Et quand t'es monté, mon Dieu, car c'est que c'est petit. Chaque pris, c'est pas l'eau. Dans les mots de tout la trouver. Et c'est trouvé dans la mauvaise monnaie. Tous les jours, c'est là la mer. Oh, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. Ah, t'es pas bon, monsieur le même chef de tout. Ah, t'es pas bon, monsieur le même parrain. Don't you lie to me, baby. I said, don't you lie to me. Every day is not the same.
What I really love is the beginning of the show. We're going to do Betsy and Alberta, the two folklorists.
Alberta Hunter?
Alberta Elzy and Alberta Bradford and Becky Elzy, Elzy.
Okay.
And they were born into slavery. And all of their music got captured by the old recording equipment that they had. They had, I think they recorded about 150 songs because we didn't write stuff down.
Right.
It was all word of mouth.
Right.
And they just sat there and just sang and sang and sang. And so one of the tunes, well, I'm taking 3 of their tunes.
Okay.
and putting them together. Only reason why I'm doing that is it's too hard to try to figure out what they're saying on those old recordings. Very difficult. I listened and listened. So I said, okay, I'm going to take this song, we're going to segue into this song, and then we're going to segue into, and all of that's going to be a cappella.
Okay.
My a cappella quintet.
Wow. Wow.
So that, and I'll give history on that, that whole thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. I joined the Grammys originally. Was I in Street Sounds? I think that was when I first joined. And I got in and I was like, this is nothing. And so I let my membership lapse. And then I joined again, because I've been in over 20 years on and off. And I said, man, this ain't bad. And then I dropped out again.
And when you say membership, like what was that? Is that something anybody can sign?
At that time.
Oh, at that time. Okay, good.
At that time.
Okay.
Now I'll tell you a little bit more about what it takes to join the Grammys.
Okay.
Now, at that time, anybody who called themselves a musician could join the Grammys. And luckily, I had pieces that were up we were trying to get nominated. And so the third time I met Camilo Landau and Greg Landau. I do a lot of studio work for them. I sing a lot of Spanish. Do I speak Spanish? No. But you think they sit there and they'll say it for me and I repeat it, and then they'll say it and I'll repeat it in the studio.
Okay.
And so Camilo's like, Chelle, you got to join. You got this new CD coming out. It was the first, was it Voodooville? I think it was Voodooville.
Okay.
Was coming out, and they helped me with that CD. So I said, okay, I'm a join. It took me a minute. And then after I joined, at that time we had all these great workshops that were happening for artists. I said, I like this. I want to go to these workshops. So I'd go to all on mic techniques, or they had this really great workshop, which was through MusiCares. And so that was a full day of wonderfulness.
Okay.
We had people that were vocal coaches. You could go in and record. You could go to the P&E, which is producing and engineering, and it was just the most amazing thing. I said, I like this.
Yeah.
So I got an email as a member saying they're looking for governors.
Okay.
And I had applied before and I didn't get it. I said, why not? If I get it, I get it. I don't, I don't. Why not just put your hat in the ring to become a governor?
Right.
Well, I put my hat in the ring, and I got an email from Michael, who was the president at that time of the Northern California chapter. And he said, you've been selected to run for governor, a slate for governor. I'm like, hey. So what I did, this is crazy. Okay. I went home. Well, I was already home. I got on my computer. I said, dear Michelle, we're happy to announce that we've elected you governor. Sending it to myself. Thank you so much for applying. I sent this letter to myself.
You sent this letter to yourself.
The next day I opened up, oh my God, oh no, that's the thing you sent to yourself, Michelle. I thought that they had actually sent that to me.
Right.
I'm a person who believes in asking and receiving, manifesting. I manifest everything that's happening right now.
Okay.
Every single thing, from teaching everything I've manifested. This is what I said I wanted. I'm a true believer.
Okay.
From being a cast, all of that had to do with manifesting. So about a week later, that's the biggest joke of the Grammys. We laugh about that all the time. I did get the invitation. Yeah, they voted me in. And I was like, wow.
How many, because I think there's a lot of mystique around the Grammys. If you
I don't know how many people are members.
Okay.
You know, anybody who has like I said, let me tell you how it is now.
Okay,
Before, if you were a musician, you did this and did that, you could apply and become a member. But now you can't do that. You have to have at least a recording within the last 5 years. You have to have recommendations.
Okay.
So now you have to be a real artist. Wonderfulness about the Grammys is, I already mentioned MusiCares.
Yes.
MusiCares will help any musician, whether you're a member or not, receive the assistance that you need. They've helped me financially. If you have bills, if you have dental things you need.
And this is outside of COVID, because I donated to that during COVID.
This is normal.
Okay, great.
This is normal. They
Okay.
really help. They're the ones at that big event I told you I went to.
Yeah.
They made me hand-fitted earplugs.
Wow.
And they took my measurement and they said, how much do you want to hear? I said, I'm a band leader. I want to hear when my band makes a mistake.
Right.
So don't make it don't cover it up all the way. So they made me, I have them right now. I use them all the time, especially at school when I was there. The earplugs. Then we have advocacy.
Okay.
I've been on all these committees.
Okay.
Advocacy is where we're fighting for the rights of every musician to get paid what they're worth,
Yes.
to stand up for everything that the powers that be, that from radio stations that don't pay us correctly to Spotify and all those folks, I mean, you know, that don't pay us. If they if people knew what we make.
Right. Right.
So we have advocacy. Then we have membership committee, which is really great. So this past year, I was on the membership committee, and we had a big thing on women of color to bring more women of color into the Grammys, because it was a good old boys kind of place for the longest.
Yeah.
And then I also I said we always have a tendency to honor people when they're dead.
Yeah.
I want to honor someone right
Who's
now.
alive?
Linda Tillery.
Yeah, that's culture.
Linda Tillery has been with the Grammys almost since its inception. And she needs to be given her flowers now, not at a grave site. Okay?
Right.
So we did a whole night, you know, it was a couple hours. People wrote in stuff to read to her. People sent videos, all this stuff. And she was just so blown away by the love she was receiving. We gave her a big certificate. One of the things I loved about the Grammys, we had a meeting one day, and Kristen, our director, I love Kristen. She was like, oh my God, we're so wonderful. We're really, really diverse here. And I raised my hand. I said, no, we're not. We have 3 black men, but we have 1 black woman, 1 Latina woman, 1 Asian woman on the board. That's not diversity.
Right.
And no, they heard what I said. So then that's when we started diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right. Which again is a lot more than skin color. Maybe it's people with disabilities or neurodiverse.
Absolutely. It's all of that.
All of that.
All of that.
Yeah.
So I was nearing the end of my term this year. And I said, Kristen.
And so Kristen is
The executive director.
for the Grammys.
For
Okay.
Of the Northern California, Colorado. Because we're also Colorado.
Okay.
Those
Okay.
two.
Got it.
And I said, hey, I want to run for office. You have to be in it for at least we tell all the new people coming on the board now, you got to give it at least 2 years to really grasp what it is we do.
Yeah.
That's why I try to talk to people that tell me about the Grammys. I don't believe in it. I don't like it. It only does, no, that's what you see on TV.
Is the tiny little
Just
part.
a little tiny part. You don't see all the stuff leading up to that.
Right. Right.
You don't see all the work we're doing behind the scenes for each and every artist, man, woman, and child, every color, every ethnicity, every sexual orientation. We're fighting hard.
Yeah. Got
And
it.
so
it's an it's not just prestige and excellent musicianship, it's advocacy. It's, fighting for the lives and the existences of artists and musicians, which are always at risk, right?
Always
at risk.
We have MusiCares. We got to sign up for healthcare. How many musicians have healthcare?
Not many.
Dental.
Right.
I'm getting ready to get my grill done, okay?
Right.
I mean, just like all of this wonderful stuff.
Okay.
And I try to tell people, and there's those that want to hear and there's those that don't. It's all about the Grammys and it's not fair. Then you're going to sit on the sideline and talk about how unfair it is,
right?
Instead of jumping in the pool
and changing it.
Yeah. And that's why I jumped in the pool. I didn't want to sit back and say, oh, which was what I was doing the first 2 times I joined. I'll never get, I might never get nominated.
Right.
it don't matter. But it is called what? Show business.
Yes.
Which is what I also teach my students. This is a business.
I love that.
You have to learn how to do your taxes, baby.
Uh-huh.
You have to learn how to talk to people, to interview,
Right.
to represent yourself in whatever it is that you're doing.
Right.
This is all a part of being an artist. It's not just standing. It's not America's Got Talent or none of that.
Right. Right.
And believe me, those people already have those people in place.
Right. The from behind the scenes. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like I told her, I said, no, you want to be an artist and get some business cards, have your spiel ready.
Tell me where or how you get inspired creatively. Do you go to a special place? Special people you hang out with?
I'm inspired really by everything in life. I'll be walking and I'll see something that'll trigger, or I'll read something that'll trigger. I'll see even something on TV. Oh, and manifestation. And I meditate, so I'm very open to receiving. And so when things come at me, I'm like, and that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from, the universe. I know it might sound like hippie stuff, but it's true.
Not, no, it's not. No,
it's
not at all.
true.
Yeah.
This is the Church of Jazz and Justice.
I
We
know.
feed the hungry. We make hot meals in that big kitchen we pass through to go feed people. We do so much for the community at large. We fight for the Latinos who are in jail. We used to go down to Vallejo and stand out there and sing so that they could hear us.
Vallejo,
And
what's in Vallejo?
That's one of the detention centers
Oh, okay.
for the immigrants. And so we'd stand out there, a bunch of different congregations,
and
and just sing.
That's
So
cool.
they can hear us. We're a powerful church.
Sound is so powerful.
But there's no way I cannot touch upon one of the current women of New Orleans music. Her brothers always get recognition, but it's time for us to lift up Charmaine Neville. We're gonna do a song by Charmaine Neville, and if you're sitting down, I'm gonna come out there and snatch you out of your seats. I better see you dancing. All right, here we go. Come on, y'all. Come on and dance. Get out the aisle. Well, right down the street from your house to mine, I heard somebody holler, second line, we're gonna shake that thing. Whoa, shake that thing. Wow. Everybody gonna second line. We're gonna jump, shout, raise your flag, twirl it up, roll it like it's got legs. We're gonna second line. Whoa, second line. Everybody over here, come on and second line. As the shot goes out to the neighborhood, everybody jumping, gonna do us good. On the second line, hey, second line.
was inspiring. Be sure to listen again soon.
Agile Vocalist is created and produced by Rachel Medanik. Editing by Ben Kruger. Agile Vocalist design and branding by Sasha Brandt.